We get there, we shoot. And we have these boxes that we're putting actors in where you're able to play in those boxes, but not necessarily. There was no figuring things out.
Yeah.
It was, we're going to shoot. And I wish there was moments where I was able to rehearse more with a couple or certain stuff where we just played a little bit more.
We are the
Get Reelisms Podcast.
I am Adam Chase Rani.
And I am Christine Chen. And surprise, we're both filmmakers.
We get into it by sharing secrets, advice, and gossip in filmmaking.
And we even get our other filmmaking friends to share theirs too.
So please, everybody, join us for
an ode to
filmmaking.
I'm a Colts fan from Indianapolis. I don't know why I picked them at 10 years old, but they've been terrible ever since I was a kid.
Hey, that's like me and the Broncos. I picked the Broncos. I'm sticking it out for life. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're bad too.
Dog, I remember I've been a fan of the Oakland Raiders before the Raiders went to Vegas. And I remember because I'm not into sports usually, but I would love to go to Oracle and watch any game. So it's funny because Raiders left that stadium and now the Oakland A's are leaving that stadium as well.
Did you see the people who were stealing the chairs?
I saw that. And you want to know something? I know a person who also stole a chair from that Coliseum. Oh, yeah. And he shared it on Instagram stories. And I had to tell him, like, dog, I don't know if you should be posting that and tagging the stadium as you're stealing seats.
The best course of action there. Yeah, you're going to get caught.
You're going to get caught.
On January 6th. Look, I'm at the White House. So, what are you doing?
So dumb.
Dude, I'm in Nancy Pelosi's desk. You shouldn't be posting that, dog.
It's really... And then they're like, hey, what do you mean you caught me? How'd you guys catch me? You did it to yourself.
What do you mean I'm arrested, officer? I did nothing wrong.
Erica, you can't arrest me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're impervious to being arrested when you record yourself on TikTok. Duh.
Yeah. Same with the people that I've seen that they post. I do not allow Facebook permission to use my photos. It's buddy. What are you doing?
Doesn't matter, dude.
Get off Facebook. No one's forced on the website.
All right, y'all. We're live and alive here on Facebook. We are doing it. So welcome everybody to another episode of the Get Reelisms Podcast, episode 157. My name is Adam Chase Rani.
And my name is Christine Chen, and we have a guest today. You might recognize him from previous episodes. Josh, why don't you introduce yourselves for people who may not know who you are?
Hi, I was on here maybe about a year and a half ago. Josh Segundo. I am a writer-director, but professionally I do G&E, and I'm still doing that. It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
It's been pretty nice.
Grip and Electric, everybody. You're our only Grip and Electric who's also a director writer, which is pretty cool.
I have a few buddies that do it as well. There's multiple people that I know that it's a good way to get into it. I mean, you're really in the nitty gritty of just production in general as G&E. So
totally. Who's somebody who Drake does that, right?
Drake Howard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my really close friends. Yeah, he does G&E and also directs. He AD'd my short.
Yes, I saw. I was looking at the credits. I was like, oh, there's lots of people. I noticed Jeff Brody because I've worked with him from an acting standpoint and stuff like that. So
yeah, I worked with you on a project with him.
Yes, that was it. That's how we all.
That was forever ago.
That's crazy. Time passes very fast, and but it just feels like we all like just knew each. It's weird when you start tracing back and realizing like where you all connected, because when there's enough time passed, you just assume that you've always known each other sometimes.
For sure.
So yeah, I guess tell us about how the entire process went for you. You now have a full-on short, and the title of the short is
Where Do We Go?
Where Do We Go? And where has it been premiering? Where can people see it these days? And what has happened since the last time we chatted? Which I think at that point you were planning on making it, and you had not gone through production yet.
We were crowdfunding.
Yeah, you were crowdfunding, exactly. So you weren't even really greenlit yet at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I can start there. Crowdfunding is the worst thing in the world. It is an absolute. Whatever. I'll just say it. I had to ask for a loan to be able to get to the 80% because it was just like that.
yeah.
It was so difficult to get there. It's all been paid back and everything has been taken care of. So all the production stuff has finally been done. But yeah, I think March of 23, we shot it. 3 days of principal, 2 days of pickups. And it went as smoothly as I could probably ask for. It was really great. I think like we did 2 days and 10-hour days, and then the third day we did a 12.
Okay.
And we did,
Oh,
like
wow.
us going over 12. Yeah.
And only 3 days
yeah, that was
of shooting. That's it?
yeah. So we really went in there where we were like, immediately, we have this window to shoot here. We have this window to shoot here. That's it. Like we're really being very sparse with our coverage. I'm not a big fan of getting coverage to begin with. If it wasn't whatever we planned, we weren't doing it. Ran the whole time, and I think it went insanely smoothly. I've asked pretty much everybody that worked on it. I'm like, was this cool with you guys? And they were like, yeah, this was great. So that was nice.
What do you think contributed to the smoothness of the set? Did you do a lot of rehearsals? Did you shot list ahead of time? What would you say are the top reasons why the set was smooth?
Yeah, it was definitely, we shot listed a lot. So me and Tiger, who shot the film, Tiger Hill, was great, good collaborator of mine. We had plenty of meetings beforehand where we went through the shot list. I mean, we went to a studio here at Duro, and we like got chairs out whenever we were going to do the bus scene, and we just placed chairs where things were going to be, and then we started shot listing things like that. So we had a lot of like prep going into it, so that when we were on the.
How long of prep did you have?
Honestly, like before we even did the crowdfunding campaign, we had already started shot listing. Yeah. So I think like once the money hit, I think it comes in maybe a week or two after it closes, and then 2 weeks after that we were shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I want the listeners to hear this because I think the biggest thing is you can get things done in a short period of time in a very efficient way, but all of it is because of prep. You have to be able to prep. I like to mention it because Ursley, whenever I say, oh yeah, we shot it in 11 days, I really put a disclaimer on it saying the only reason we're able to shoot in 11 days is because we were prepping for 3 months in advance. And that's only possible because my department heads were like my friends and stuff like that who believed in me and would give me that time to start prepping that far in advance versus so many of us when we get hired to work for something that like we have zero personal connection to, we're like, okay, we get 3 days of prep, cool. When we start like 3 days of prep. So that I love that you say that it is prep that allowed you guys to do that. I mean, is there anything that you learned from the process that you feel like, oh shit, I should have done this, or if we done this would have gone even more smooth?
Yeah. Make more money beforehand. Probably the.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. That's actually not a joke, but it is meant to be a joke there. I don't know. I wish I had more time. I wish I gave us another day. I think Where Do We Go as a short film is such a big bite. I think it moved very quickly. And I think like we had so many different locations that I wish we had the funds to do it for one more day so that we could actually have a little bit more time to play in the boxes. Because like we were saying about prep, it was just like we get there, we shoot. And we were like, we have these boxes that we're putting actors in where you're able to play in those boxes, but not necessarily. There was no figuring things out. Yeah. It was, we know we're going to shoot. And I wish there was moments where I was able to rehearse more with a couple or certain stuff where we just played a little bit more and gave ourselves more freedom. Yeah. But overall, like, I'm super happy. There was definitely some improvisation in it with a lot of the acting. And I think, it made it really fun. There was a lot of like really random jokes that just like in the heat of the moment, they were like, hey, what if I tried this? And I was like, do it. That's funny.
Was one of the improv from Booger, the homeless dude in the short? I feel like he had a lot of, like, he gave him some space and time to just play around and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's a scene towards the end of the film where our lead is asking his daughter to hold his hand, like to just like grab my hand because they're like next to a street.
Yep. I
And
remember
as
that.
we were rehearsing that, we're walking it. Bill, the actor who played Booger, he comes up to me, hey, what if I reach for his hand? And I was like, that's funny. You go for it.
I noticed that.
Like, oh, okay. He tries to he tries to get the lead's hand, and I just thought that was such a funny little moment. And it was like a quick 1 second ask, and I was like, yes, do it. That's so funny, and it works. It's one of my favorite little moments. That's just so quick, but it makes me laugh every single time I see it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you had to change on the fly because of something? There's always something that happens on set, like weather or I don't know, some street wasn't available. Is there anything that you had to pivot from? Or was it literally just smooth sailing?
It was almost all smooth sailing. I think there was like a scene that I wish we had the bus for so that I could do like a bigger shot for it.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I wish I just drowned myself an extra $300-400 to get this shot. But at the time, I was just like, we gotta make this film the way it is. And I think I remember telling you guys what I wanted to do in that shot, where it was like I wanted they get, I guess whatever, they get kicked off a bus, and I wanted to see them get kicked off a bus with the bus in it. But instead, we cut from the bus to them already being kicked off. And I really wanted to have that bus in there, and I just couldn't afford to keep it for an extra 2 hours or hour that we needed to move to our next location and do the whole get settled in, get camera up, get all settled up. But aside from that, yeah, everything went super smooth with the restaurant. Everything went super smooth at the Airbnb, which is actually, we stole a lot of shots. We were like outside of an Airbnb in West Campus at some apartment complex.
Yeah.
And no permits. And luckily, since we were on West Campus, anybody who was passing by us were just like, these are students.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we're not cops. So that was great. We did have a guy come out of his apartment and yell at us. He said, go play somewhere else, which was just fun. It seemed to upset a lot of the other people, but I thought it was really funny. It didn't really bother me at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think fully smooth. Aside from that, yeah, we just sold a couple locations, and we just got very lucky that nobody messed with us, aside from that one guy who yelled at us for 2 seconds. But yeah, no, it was incredibly smooth, like shockingly smooth.
That's the beauty of shooting in Austin. There's still there's not cops crawling everywhere trying to give you a ticket.
Yeah, no, for real. It was real nice. I think the best compliment that I got was after day one. We called Martini, and Colleen, who did our sound, she took off her earphones and she goes, "Oh, are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's, "Oh, that's awesome." And I was like, "Great. I love that. I love just knowing that."
People are,
I guess she was just excited to know that we were about to leave. Not to say that we shouldn't want to be there, but it was more of, oh, I'm making the crew happy. I'm not peeling anybody here. Because I've been on the receiving end of the stick so many.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's always nice to be able to, I always like under promise, over deliver type thing. It's
Definitely.
nice to be able to be like, yeah, instead of 12, we're actually doing 10. Nothing makes the crew happier than that.
For sure. Yeah. We pitched them 10s and they were like, yeah, sure, dude.
Yay.
So was part of the short shooting process of it all, was that in part, because I feel like the bus of it all played a significant role. It's essentially a character of that short film. Did you did you had already determined that you were only going to have a short amount of time with the bus, or was it, we had only this amount of time and the city of Austin would only allow us to use this bus for 3 days and that's it? Or did you already have it set up to be more than that?
We had a 1 day at an apartment. Day 2 was at a church and then a restaurant. And then day 3 was just all the bus. So we only had the bus for one full day.
Oh, got it. Okay. Wow.
And did some pick with bus stops where our lead got into real buses. But aside from that, yeah, we had the bus for one full day. I think we shot 4 scenes in the bus. Yes, we shot 4 scenes in the bus, and that was all we had.
That's
which
crazy.
Luckily, I wrote it into the script where it was like, scene 1 in the bus is the morning, and then the other one's the afternoon, the other one's the evening, the other one's the night. So it was like allowing us to shoot that chronologically on the day so that it would make sense time-wise. And I think last time we talked about how we write to shoot because it just makes sense. We work in production and we just know how can we logically do this? We don't we want our imagination wild. But at the end of the day, when you're like actually planning on making something, you need to make it make sense for your actual schedule.
Yeah, that's something I would definitely bring up too when teaching people about writing who have never shot anything is that you just gotta write for what you have, write for what
Mhm.
you have access to, and then the possibility of you making it successfully just increases exponentially because of that. So you're essentially saying that even before you planned out the shoot, you wrote it knowing that you had to be very conservative with the bus. Therefore, you positioned it for different parts of the day so that you can
Yeah.
prioritize the use of the. So, for listeners who don't know, a lot of times, if it's not that way, like a writer will just write and let their imaginations run wild, and then it's like, then they go back and go to a producer and AD and they break it down. They realize, oh shit, 5 of these scenes are during the day, and or all 5 of these scenes are at night. Now we have to have it overnight. Like it's just stuff that is not practical for working on a limited budget and stuff like that. So it's nice when the writer is very tuned into the practical day-to-day knowledge of a production. So
For sure. Yeah. And we had a couple night scenes, but they were all, I think we had splits. I think we did, our days were 12 to 10, 12 to 10, and then 2 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like not even, they were like baby splits, if that.
Yeah.
And then the last day was more of a real split, not really even that crazy. I've done 4 to 4s, which are just,
that's just an
brutal.
overnight at that point.
That is an overnight, but you
Yeah.
can still call it a split, which is, it's totally not.
It's not.
I feel like basically by the time it's past the 2 to 2, you should call it an overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I
4
agree.
to 4 is a fucking overnight. Like what
4 to
else?
4 is one
It's
overnight.
100% at work. I can't believe people call it a split. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, a split is 12 to 12, 1 to 1, 2 to 2. Even 2 to 2 is like kind. Like that one, I think it's borderline.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if I'm getting home at 3 a.m, that's an overnight.
that's an overnight.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, especially if it's like, if it's a 2 to 2, like most people commute like with 4 an hour probably to and from. So it doesn't make sense for it to just be like, it doesn't count as a split or overnight. It's, it is, but okay.
Yeah.
And especially like when we were wrapping that, I think like I said, we wrapped at 2, but then I had to camera wrap. That took another hour, and I was with them throughout the whole thing. I don't think I got home until 4:30 in the morning because I wanted to make sure everyone. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, it was just like incredibly smooth. The actors did great. Everything went really well. I think it's simply just a testament of working on set professionally, and everyone who worked on it works on set professionally. Yeah. And it was just a well-oiled machine from the get-go because we just had really talented people who were understanding that this was going to be a process, and it might have been difficult, but it went smoother than we expected. On day 3, on our bus day, Drake Howard, who was our AD and one of our producers, he started we did like a pre-shoot meeting or whatever. What is it called? But he called and he was like, okay, everybody, this day
meeting.
Yeah. He was like, this day might be insanely difficult or it might be insanely easy. We'll figure it out. And I just luckily it went incredibly easy. It was great. So no issue at my end.
And so there's always the day of production, and then the moment of truth when you get into post. When you got into post and saw what you had, were you like, yay, we got everything? Or were you like, oh shit, we should have shot these things? Like what did you learn from the process in post? Because I feel like you learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you learn the most for your first thing in post.
Yeah, I did the edit for it. And aside from our 2 pickup shots, which we only did pickup shots because we needed it for the time of day. It wasn't even like we probably could have fit it into our schedule, but it was just easier to do it on a separate day. But no, we got it all. Yeah. And I think whenever anyone sees their first assembly cut, they get pretty disgusted by themselves. At least, yeah. So I saw it and I was just like, oh my God, what is this? And then you start trimming, you start doing things here and there, you start adding music, you color it and the sound mix it, and you start adding all the details, and it just comes together and you're like, this is exactly what I saw in my head. Our post process was great. Like I said, I did the edit. we did a bunch of notes. We did a very small test screening for it, which we got feedback for, and things definitely changed because of that. And then we went into the sound mix, and I had so many notes for the guy. I was just like, I want to add this sound in this specific spot. And I'm just, a psycho like that because I love details. And, the music came together very well. It was exactly what I wanted out of it. And then the color was the last thing. And I didn't meet the colorist on it until like last July, after we had already basically had a pretty good cut. And then we worked on a short film together, and he's, I color. And I was like, oh, cool. Do you want to color my short? And he was like, yeah. And then he added his magic to it. And I was like, you made this exactly, you brought it across the finish line. And it's been done for a little bit over a year, and it's been in the festival run for about a year now. And we've just been super happy with the reception. We premiered in Dallas last month, and that was great. It was for the Dallas International Film Festival's short block, and they packed theater, and it was great. And it was a really good festival, and it was just nice to talk to people who had never seen it and see it with a fresh audience.
How many times do you think you've watched this film now?
All the way through, if I'm not counting editing, probably 200 times.
Yeah.
At least,
I'm
yeah.
not surprised.
At least.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just I have no idea anymore. I saw it in that theater with everybody, and I was like, I don't even know. Cool. I don't.
You're just over it. You're checked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm checked out, but it's just like I have no frame of reference.
Right.
It's just
right.
it's there. It just exists. Yeah, I'm proud of it. I think it's what I wanted it to be. I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish it was like around 20 minutes, just because I think it's such a fast-paced short that I think it would probably benefit if it had a little bit more air for moments to sit. But you have to play the game of programming. So it's easier to program a 15-minute short than a 20-minute short.
Correct. Yes.
So,
and that's the thing. It's like, how was your first experience with the film festival circuit? Because I'd imagine, like, we talked about it with Christine, and that what a circus that can be in terms of going through all these film festivals and getting it. Like, is there like a point of which like you have a nervous like panic attack, like a breakdown beforehand before people watch it, and then afterwards it was like all your worries and sorrows just wash away at that point, because people are like, it's a great short, man, like it's a really fun short and there's really nothing to worry about? But I would imagine that you just clench, your asshole just clenches, and you're like, oh God, please let it work.
Oh, yeah, I don't really know how I'm dealing with any of that. There's definitely points in the film where I just kind of want to look at the floor.
Yeah.
And again, not because I'm bad. I think it all works exactly what I wanted. But to be quite honest, it's a very vulnerable piece for me. And it was just such a hard time where I was just like, oh God, these are feelings that, I don't feel anymore. And it's just, it feels so different, which is a good thing. That feels like it's a part of my past.
Yeah, I get super nervous whenever I do my first screenings of anything, or just it doesn't have to just be the first one, just screenings in general. To the point where I don't know if you do this, but I will literally rewatch the film by myself, and just to reconfirm with myself that this is a good film, and before I go to the actual screening.
Oh, I don't think the last time I saw it was the Dallas screening. And then before that, we did a friends and family screening here in Austin back in April.
Okay.
And we did it at AFS, and that was the last time that I'd seen it before then. And then before that, I guess it was like at some point whenever we finished it. But like I said, it's been such a, I don't know. I don't just watch my stuff. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I feel like it would be weird if you watch your shit all the time, no matter what. I mean, like, it's good to see where you've come, right? Like, as far as like when the inception process of the story and the inspirations and all that up until now, it's like Josh, I would imagine 2 years ago is a different Josh today in terms of what your mind was at that point. And then now seeing it, like you said, you weren't really necessarily checked out, but you were definitely like, I have no point of reference. I just feel like this is just a thing that just exists.
Yeah. And I think when I wrote this, I think the first draft for this came to me in like 2020. So it's been years this has been there. So I was such a different person from 2020 till a very different person than I was in March 23 when I made it till now. So, and I think a lot of the coloring that we did, I wanted to give it like a filmic look. And I remember telling the colorist, like, I want it to feel like a memory. Like, I want it to feel old or nostalgic to a different time. And I think hopefully that playing into maybe not feeling nostalgic towards the pandemic, because the pandemic does play its own role in the film, but nostalgic to a time of complete uncertainty, which I think that's what the pandemic was for so many people.
Yeah, because everybody were still wearing masks, even in your short, right? You would have your main characters ride the bus with the masks on. You have the driver, you have everybody, and then you have Booger like having the mask like hanging off and shit. Yeah, I feel like yeah, that was like a completely. It's almost like we're in a different era at this point. Fuck, it's almost 5 years.
Yeah, I really think of like I remember when the pandemic happened, a lot of people were making movies where they were like at their window doing this. Just I want to what's it like to be outside. And I remember telling myself, I'm never gonna make a movie about the pandemic. But then time passed, and it was like 21, and I was thinking like, okay, I think us living in it, where we are already back to work, where we're figuring it out pre-vaccine, where we still don't really know where anything's going, that's a little bit more interesting than this idea of, am I ever going to go outside again? So I don't know. I just felt like there was that moment where I was like, this part is interesting. This like weird half back to real world thing is interesting. And then now it's just gone.
Yeah. Basically, we've moved on.
Now.
Yeah. Oh, what'd you say, Christine?
History. It's in our history now. That's all.
Yeah.
Now we just talk about it like you would in the history class. That's it.
And I feel like I hear a lot of people they're like, I kind of miss being able to just be home. And it's like that part was nice, but in the back of your mind when you're going to bed, you're like, is this ever going to end? Was the thing that was like a nightmare.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, of that entire year, it definitely felt like that for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I really wanted it to feel like a memory when it comes to the color. And I'm hoping that's what it was. I hope people don't see a pandemic film and they just immediately they're rolling their eyes. I don't want to see a movie about this, because I think it's a little bit more than just it being a film about the pandemic.
Also, just to rewind it back to when you first had this story, was there like, because you talk about nostalgia and all that, and it definitely felt like how the film was shot, like even in the opening shot with that slow zoom of seeing all the architecture of Austin, I think is fucking awesome. And I know I told you like through our messages that it definitely gives the vein of the Safdie brothers, in which that they use the city and their environment as like the character along with what they are making. And most of the time the characters are very like isolated, they're very close, like it's a very close tight structure with that story, yet shot in such a vast open city. Was there any inspiration that you watched before? Where do we go from here? Was there like any movies or anything media wise that just felt like, oh, we got to draw from this?
Yeah, I think definitely Safdies were big. I think we talked about how much I love the movie Daddy Longlegs.
Yes,
that movie was such a big inspiration. Good Time, I think it like I wouldn't say I necessarily ripped it, but like the opening shot in Good Time is just like, I think it's like a helicopter shot going across New York.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what that opening shot was. And I really love that it's a bookend where, the movie starts with a tilt down into the city and then a zoom into this bus. And then at the end, we're zoomed in fully with the character. And then we zoom out into the city, where I guess what I wanted to say with that was more of, we're just zooming into a person, but there's a million of these people that are here in this city. And I think making it feel like every person that the lead interacts with is as chaotic or as frustrated as him, whether that be a fry cook, whether that be a person who works at a lost and found, his manager, etc. It doesn't necessarily matter, because they're all dealing with their own frustrations. They're all dealing with everything. And I think it's maybe a part of, in a grander systemic thing, is you're surrounded with the people that are where you're at. And it can really suck if you're at the bottom and you feel like you're trying to get yourself out, you're stuck with other people who are also at the bottom, also trying to get themselves out of this rut. And sometimes it's not very nice. And that's okay. You just got to give people grace. And I think that's the end conversation's whole point.
Yeah, that was definitely the theme towards the end of you just don't know what people are going through. You just have to give people grace. Yeah. What is next for you now that you've done it? Because this was your
Yeah.
first one. Are you like got 5 lined up that you're like already wanting to do, or you're like traumatized from the Kickstarter and want to not have to raise money ever again and want to take a break? What are you
It's a little bit of both. I
Okay.
think I am insanely tired of the Kickstarter. Will not be doing that again.
Dude,
Uh,
I understand.
So I mean that again anytime soon. But I am working on a short that I plan on shooting next year, which aside from basically this, I just plan on dropping it. I just want to self-fund it, just get actors. I don't even know if I want to make it like an Instagram for it where we announce cast. I just want to just get my friends and I self-finance this short, and we do it over a weekend and just make it. Yeah, I feel like that's what I want to get back to, is just like enjoying making things with my friends where I'm not necessarily need to promote fully for myself. Where it's just like, if I can afford it, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, totally.
I understand that. Especially, I think you'll also get to a point where I don't apply to any film festivals anymore at all. After I think I did a run with Albie, and then I stopped doing it because I was like, these are just. There's an article today about for example, the Academy Awards. That was literally just a whole marketing ploy that it was created just to make a group of people feel like they're special, basically. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those films are, for the most part, there are Academy Award films are great films, but it doesn't mean that the films that are not nominated are not just as good as well.
Of course.
So, yeah, I think you just get to a point where you're like, I made these films because of the process, loving the process of working with the people, of trying something new, telling a story that that I resonate with and stuff like that. So, I get it. The whole process is hard, like and to the point where like at the end you just want to simplify. I feel like when you make a few of these short films, it'll get to a point where you're like, you know what? I just want to make a silent film, or I just want to make a film that I shoot entirely myself. Just because like it's because every single component is just adds that layer of complexity that takes away from the simplicity of I just want to tell a story with my friends.
Right.
And ultimately, that's why we all started to make films in the very beginning, was that.
Yeah, I think where do we go? I wouldn't say I'm necessarily traumatized by it, but it's definitely like it was such a big bite to do. It was like 18 different scenes in 15 minutes, 13, so many locations, so many moves. So the next thing is going to be like 3 to 4 actors in 2 rooms.
In the house, yeah.
Exactly. One location, baby. That's it.
One location.
Yeah, let's do that.
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. That was like, I was gonna say I could just relate because I can see at each point of my career, like why I just decided to do this film instead type thing, because at each juncture it was like, oh yeah, that we tried that and that was hard. So like, let's just go back to doing stuff where it's just like a house.
Yeah. Sure. And then festivals have been, difficult. There's some where maybe it's a little difficult to program this film. Maybe it doesn't fit into the theme of the year for the film.
Right.
And maybe sometimes people just don't like my film, and that's okay too. Because we've definitely gotten a bunch of rejections, and they never tell you why. They just say, unfortunately, no, which is take it on the chin. And that's okay. I'm planning on applying to festivals and keep this run going. But I think with Where Do We Go, I think we have 2 more done. I think it's just, let's just put that online. Let's move on. Yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm so ready to just get past this film. Yeah, I love it. Like, insanely grateful for everybody across the process of it. But yeah, I think I'm going to do a screening for it in my hometown. A lot of people from my hometown really, they helped a lot with the crowdfunding campaign. So I'm just going to do a free screening at a theater down there soon. And then hopefully have it in a couple of like Austin Showcase stuff here, Vimeo.
Yeah, it's graduating.
And then just watch it. Just enjoy it at this point. We premiered at Dallas Film Festival, and I'm incredibly grateful and thankful for that. And I'm happy with that.
That's awesome.
So as much as this movie, it's done so much for me as far as me as a filmmaker. It's me and my circle of friends. I think I've gotten so much tighter to the people that help me work on this and people that I want to collaborate with over the years. And there was definitely a moment when we were making, Where Do We Go? It was for the last big scene on the bus. And like I said, I wrote this back in like 2020. And I sent it over to some of my old friends, people who I haven't really spoken to much since. And I asked them for feedback, and they were like, "You got to cut this bus thing. What the fuck are you doing? You're not going to make this. This is dumb." And
that's
I was
the whole
just like,
point
"No,
of the bus thing."
Yeah, like the bus is a character in this movie. Like it plays in, and they're just like, "You're like this. It's going to be too expensive. You're not going to be able to make this." And I was like, "No, we'll figure it out." And we did. And those people weren't there when we shot it, and they were old filmmaking friends, and they weren't there. And I was at the monitor because when we were driving this bus, it's not like I can direct. It's just we rehearsed it, just go. So all I can do is watch the monitor. I literally couldn't do anything else.
Right.
And I'm looking at the monitor, and I look up at the actors, and just for a moment, I'm just like looking at the crew, and I'm like, none of these people were here when I wrote this. In my life, they weren't here. And here they are spending their weekend with me, and they were good friends of me then, and now they're even better friends. And it felt so special to be like, I was told that this was dumb. And that this shouldn't have been, that we should cut this. And here we are making this and being with people who actually believed in me and believed in the vision. It was something that I'm never going to forget.
Yeah, I think that's pretty powerful, man. You don't really get many times in life where you have like very talented people in your life, friends of yours, including people I know in the industry. And we have mutual people who we know, including Christine. Like, there's so many talented, amazing people that like, it's crazy that, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I think that it's like awesome that I know so many of these people, and that no matter what will happen, we will always like do something, and we'll run into each other at some point, maybe on another shoot, or maybe I will make that fucking thing and then hire the people that we love working with. I feel like that's like 80% of filmmaking, is that you get to work with crazy talented people like this. Because I don't know, man, like I maybe Christine can speak on it more since Christine's in LA, but I would imagine that like working with brand spanking new people is like trying to reinvent the wheel in a way. You're trying to understand everyone's like pressures and weaknesses and strengths and whatnot. Whereas if you work with your friends, you could talk to your friends the way you talk to your friends. You can't talk the way that you do with your friends with other people who you never worked with before. So you work with those people, and it's you have to like completely take away all of that. The way that you speak and the way that you give direction, it has to be completely different when you work with people who you don't know. They could be very talented, sure, but like when you work with friends, it's even more special because it's all created by us. It's what we do. And we put our blood, sweat, and tears into this. As much as it might have been a pain in the ass to shoot around like for 3 days in a bus, and what'd you say, 18 scenes? That's just fucking, that's crazy. But yeah, exactly. And you got through it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that what it is that like when you film with people who you've already filmed stuff with, it's fun to sit there and have a moment where you think about shit. Remember when we worked on this set together, and where we were back then, and now we're here and we're in this together, making something we all mutually believe in, and we've already gone through all this other crap together. It's just makes it extra special, and you just don't get that with, you said, brand new people, because you're just building that story with that person for the first time. And so yeah, there's nothing compared to that. So it's cool. You hear other well-established directors who've been in the industry who like work with the same people and stuff, and I get it, because when you've gone through war together, you want the people that you've gone through war to be in the next war with you. So
Yeah, and I think with that, it's like there's more shorthand
yes.
conversation. It's understand
Exactly.
each other's sensibility. I there's a bunch of insanely talented cinematographers in town, but I was listening to Roger Deakins' podcast with, I think it was, oh God, the guy who made The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how they grew up together, and not grew up together, but like in film school, they matched up and they were like, this is the dude that I'm going to go with, because we grew in together. And they suggested, get somebody that you can grow with. And there was a bunch of cinematographers in town. There's dozens of people here who are incredibly talented, but I picked Tiger, who I met him. We were both grips on a Jamba Juice commercial. And I want to be a DP. And then I was like, I want to direct. And he read my script, and maybe a year before we even shot it. And I remember having a conversation with him in a cave for a Toyota commercial. No, a Michelob Ultra commercial back in like January of 22. And we were just talking about the script. And he was just like, oh, if you want someone to shoot this, let me know. And I was just like, okay. And I saw some of his stuff, and it was, okay, this feels right. This feels like somebody who's hungry for the opportunity, who I'm friends with, someone that I can grow with. And Tiger has now been like one of my closest friends here in Austin, and also somebody that I plan on continuing to work with for years to come, because it's just like we understand each other's sensibilities, and there's like a mutual sense of hunger, I guess, that we both want. We want to get out of this.
I understand that very.
Christine knows that very well.
Very well, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. I miss it every day, because when a big thing coming to LA is like, it's a job. Here it's a job. Nobody after rap goes to get drinks. Granted, it's because everything is so expensive here, so nobody wants to do that. But it's just it's a whole different vibe. Like, working with your family and working with employees is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely different. It's a family business, and yeah, there's just nothing compared to that. It's the best. In the end, that's how, because I think it just speaks to our inner child. When we wanted to make movies as a kid, it was like, we just make them with our friends, and that is ultimately still the core idea of filmmaking. Is we just want to make movies with our friends.
Yeah, this is a dream job. This is magic. We're creating fairy tale fake stories where I wrote a character that's not real, that's going to evoke an emotion. This is fun. We should have fun. We should be able to go get drinks after and just like,
exactly. We're not doing anything. We're not splitting an atom here. You know what I mean? We're making pretend. We're making stories. It stinks when because I've definitely had those shoots, and I felt very unfulfilled. More so like on short commercials, whatever. Like, I worked on commercials, and I just, I've done PAs, I've done art PA, I've done set deck, and you come and go. You just and then move on. But like, when it comes to shorts and features, like, it kind of sucks. Like, when you work on something and you don't work with, these are new people who I never worked with. Some of them are cool, like some of them are fine, but like, I just go home at the end of the day. Or like at rap, like I don't really stick around. I'm just like, okay. And then and that sucks. It doesn't feel fulfilling as like you work with people who you've worked with before, who you're friends with. And at the end of it, like the best part of it is to, at rap, like share drinks and just like laugh about shit, especially if there's like intense moments, we can just joke about it afterwards. Whereas if you don't work with the people who you've worked with, and I've done that a couple of times on some shorts, it sucks because you just are like, all right, good day. And then I go home and then I don't talk to those people again. And it sucks because I want to get to know them, but the environment did not allow me to really get to know people like that. So it's a dime or dozen, one or the other. I rather work with people who I've worked with before, even if it's like a shit show, like it's a bad show. But it's still
connect.
You still connect. Yeah, you still have fun doing it.
It really changes a lot of stuff. And I think what I've always said is getting on set for commercials, what have you, like you are getting paid to network. You're getting paid to make friends. You're getting paid to work with equipment that you otherwise wouldn't get the opportunity to use.
Sure.
And you're getting paid to watch how someone else is directing, and you pick and choose what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. And I think whenever, like you said, you trauma bond on shit shows or even sometimes commercial shit shows, and you get with your friends, and once your friends become crew people that are industry professionals, and you're going out to get beers with these people, and they're actually going to want to help you, your product is going to be so much better because they know how to do their job and they care about you as a person because they're your friend. Where I think not talking shit about people who just hire their buddy who's out of the industry to be their producer or their AD or some like high level above the line person. It's just, oh, we can tell you're not in the industry guy.
We're behind on every single scene. Yeah.
You actually don't know shit.
Yeah.
We can tell that you're, like I've always said, like people who I've never agreed with the idea of you're like, I'm only on set to direct. And to me, the way I've seen it is like, why would you not get on set? If you're going to be a filmmaker on the weekends, and no offense to Subway artists, but if your day job is working at Subway, whenever you get on set, you're still going to be really good at making sandwiches. Like you're not going to be a great filmmaker because you're only doing it as a hobby. So make it your job and love it, and you'll be very good at it. And your friends are going to be people who are really good at it, not your buddy who's in the trenches with you next to you at a Subway. He's going to be a guy who's out there on set with you. Yeah,
because we all worked in like that, right? Like we've all did this customer service kind of based thing, and that's the whole. I don't know if that's the whole reason why we're in the industry, but it's a good part of it where we're like, yeah, we want to work with people who are talented, and yeah, like we've done that where it's endless carousel of like people coming and going out of your life, and you're just working at job. I've worked in retail for 10 years before working in the film industry, and I worked even in managerial positions, and in that 10 years, I probably made 4, maybe 5 friends. Whereas in the film industry, I've done it for going on 6 years now. I've had way more people on my contact list and way more people I hang out with than I ever had in retail. You get to know these people, you want to work with these people, and you always cherish these people for the time that they're willing to take out of their day to even read my script or have a conversation with me or just like commiserate. Dude, are you getting any gigs? I ain't getting any gigs. You haven't been getting gigs? Holy fuck, dude. Like this has been rough for all of us. And we can share that. Whereas like I never had that with any job that I worked in retail. It's just another day.
Yeah, we're all there to go home. We're not there for passion. And that's fine. Like I said, wrong with it. I was in restaurants for 9 years as well, and some of the people are still friends, and but it's not what it is where I'm on set and these people are my own friends, and now we're making something special, or I'm going to help them make something special for them because they helped me. And it's just such a fluid organism at this point where it's just we're all working together to help friends grow, and I love that so much about this industry. It's a bunch of people who just want to be there for each other.
Yes.
And Austin to me is a city that is maybe less cutthroat because there's enough food to go around, and it's great. I love that there's enough food to go around. 2023, what a year to spend thousands onto a film. But 24 has been great so far. Yeah, so work's been good, and it's been nice to just be able to like have these people be my friends and work in this industry. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. There's days that suck. There's days I'm getting peeled.
Absolutely. Yeah. It shows too in your short, man. So congratulations on where do we go from here? And yeah, like we said, it definitely shows in that short that you've, regardless of how stressed you probably were, the love and the passion is all there. And I can tell the hard work is there. And yeah, man, I know you ain't stopping. So I can't wait for you to come back on the pod and talk about more.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, congrats. It's a big feat to make anything film-wise.
Yes.
So
it's a miracle.
We cannot wait to see what the next things are going to be. Whenever that
hopefully soon it'll be online, so everyone will be able to watch Where Do We Go online.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's for sure thing you're going to probably put it on Vimeo or YouTube, something like that?
Yeah, probably at some point in the next... And by this time next year, it'll definitely be online.
Copy that.
100.
Right on.
That's the earliest promise that I can give for it to be out.
Right.
So a few festivals that we're waiting to hear back from, but aside from that, we're pretty much at the tail end of it.
Yeah. Best of luck to you on the other film festivals as well. I'm sure you're going to get in. Okay. It's a neat little short. Definitely something to be proud of. Was there anything else, Christine, before we check it all out?
Oh, I think it's time. It is time to remind everybody to make sure if you have any interest in going to the film industry, becoming a part of it, or just learning more about it, to check out Get Reelisms. And also check out, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, just send us an email at getreelisms@gmail.com and go listen to our past podcast. Go listen to the one that Josh did a year and a half ago. It's super fun. I think that's the most fun for me doing these podcasts, is going back and listening to where we were before and seeing what happened during those years, and revisiting, like, in that moment, these are the things, and seeing how far you've grown is one of the coolest things ever. So you, Josh, listen to your own podcast and
I will.
and see what happened then and now, and realize what a huge accomplishment you have done. So
Thanks. I appreciate it.
yeah.
Thanks,
So
man.
everybody, getreelisms.com.
Getreelisms.com.
Go movies.
Go make movies and go make movies with friends. That's just the way to do it.